is doing is a communication of their need. It's just not functional in your life. So if we take the very common thing of a very loud vocalization or a screaming behavior, a parrot lives in a jungle a lot of the time, many species. Jungles are very dense. You write the test, and that is a standardized way of saying, yes, I do actually know some of these things that I've learned in university and courses. Yes, I do have experience with people with actual real birds in their lives. You hear the passion in my voice. I feel so strongly about my birds. I love them so much. To me, I would give the world to make their world better. That passion you can hear in my voice. That's what I put in my courses. That's what I put on my YouTube. That's what I put on my Instagram.
To show by FreshLearn, Robin. This is a podcast where we dive into the stories of successful online creators like yourself. And of course, our guest today is very special because Robin is the founder of Parrot SOS with more than 2 decades of experience as a certified pet bird trainer, helping people live in harmony with their parrots who sometimes can scream fearfully, according to our website. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's really interesting to be here on the Creator Podcast for FreshLearn.
Thank you. But I think you are the one who defines interesting, or at least redefines it. And I'm sure that you're tired of hearing this, but what you do is really quite different. How did you happen to get into this journey, and that to 20 years ago, Robin?
It's been a couple of years. Yeah, it's been about 20 years. I was fortunate enough to have pet birds growing up, and also pet dogs. And I fell in love with all of the pets, all of the animals, but especially the birds. And I realized that when you have a dog, you can call for help from a dog trainer. You can call your friends who maybe also have a dog and they could give you advice.
Right.
But when you have a pet bird and you have any problems, who do you call? And where do you go for help? And where are those professionals? And when it was 20 years ago, I had a hard time finding the people that I wanted to be learning from. And back then there were a lot of paper books. So I do have a lot of those paper books on my bookshelf. I loved the learning that I was doing, and I wanted to take it more. I wanted to do more with it. I wanted to take it to more people. I wanted to get it to more birds. I saw an opportunity where we could do very much like a dog training style education, but specifically for pet parrots. So 20 years ago, I had my birds. I still have. And that really started my journey into the learning side of it, because there's a lot of school, believe it or not, in working with animal behavior. So university courses and grad level, post-grad work that is all in animal behavior. Yeah.
About it, because when I saw that you are a certified pet bird trainer, the first question that popped into my head was, what does that entail, right? What does certified pet bird trainer mean? As in, you get a certification, yes, but then like, what do you have to do to get a certification like that? And I'm pretty sure it's not easy, because I have never heard of it. So can you tell us a bit more about what that means, and how you got there?
Absolutely. After the courses that I was taking at university, they want you to go and learn all the things and then come to them and take their exam. So they're very much just the exam. It's like a lawyer passing the bar. There's a final test that means you're allowed to be a lawyer. So these certifications are very much like that. You write the test And that is a standardized way of saying, yes, I do actually know some of these things that I've learned in university and courses. Yes, I do have experience with people with actual real birds in their lives. One of the exams even has case studies, which is a long written case, somebody that you actually helped, and all of the different things that you did and what the answer was. That exam was actually 50 written pages, 50, a big long exam. Um, that means that me and anybody else who's written these certifications, we all at least have that same minimum level of knowledge, which I think is very interesting, especially in today's YouTube university era where you can learn a heck of a lot at all of these resources. And I wanted to have that additional exam at the end to prove it.
Sure, of course. And I actually took psychology as a subject, or at least, my mains in the undergrad course that I did. So it sounds to me a lot like you're a psychologist, right? Because that's how it goes. Yeah, a little bit, right? Because they really require you to go through a lot of learning from textbooks, but then they also need you to have worked with somebody and have like a case study. In fact, I read a book by Oliver Sacks, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. I don't know if you've read it. Really interesting book in psychology. Yeah. And so it's a whole book of case studies, right? He talks about how it could get really strange, and yet we are just all people, right? None of this is abnormal. I was wondering, what is it that you classify as abnormal behavior by parrots, and what do you tell your audience as is normal behavior that they may be disturbed by still?
I think that is a fascinating question, especially coming from that psychology background. There is a lot of looking from the psychology side of things in a disordered way, in non functional behaviors, right? Where somebody is suffering a particular condition. I am not a trained psychologist, so this is my understanding of it. But we see it in a disordered way, or that lens is very, that's a disorder, it needs fixing. Where I'm coming from is shifting that middle point to the behavior works for that organism or animal. It works for them. It may not be the best one. We could maybe find one that fits better for your life, fits better for my life, and fits better for the bird. In my case, I work with birds. Um, but what the bird is doing is a communication of their need. It's just not functional in your life. So if we take the very common thing of a very loud vocalization or a screaming behavior, a parrot lives in a jungle a lot of the time, many species. Jungles are very dense and they need to have a very loud call to communicate with one another. And so that's not a disorder, it is functional for the animal. And it just doesn't work in our house that is not a jungle. And my ears hurt and it's not fun for anyone. And it then means maybe the bird is locked in their cage more, or the bird has less opportunities to do their normal bird behaviors. So for me, I put normal bird behaviors first. I want the bird to be a bird. They have to live in our homes because they've been born in captivity and they're non-releasable. They are pet birds. But what that bird is doing is still a bird thing for bird reasons. I get to be the decoder to say, I think that really loud vocalizing is actually the bird asking, hey, you're too far away. I'm not safe all by myself. Could you please come back? Hey, come back. Hey, come back. Hey, come back. Which is
Right.
very functional. There's a need for that bird, and we could label it a disorder, a problem behavior. Sure, we can label it that. I don't love it either. I don't want that for you. But we do recognize that the bird is saying something. Now, this case, it tends to be loud and annoying, and you notice, but there can be other ways that birds do say things. So we start to look then into the need of the bird, their ability to communicate, whether that's with their voice or with their beak, because sometimes it's biting, sometimes they're flying, but they also have body language with puffing and moving and eye focus, and there's so much more there that they are saying, air quotes, saying, that we then get curious about that. How could that bird say what they need to say without that horrible ear splitting noise? Can we find a middle ground and work together? The bird's need is still there. The bird's need isn't going away. Even if they're silent, they still need you to stay closer. They don't feel safe alone. So, how do we get them to express that? So, I'm shifting it from problems to what's the function here? What's actually underneath that? I love what I do because it's all of that science, everything you learned in psychology, and then we put it into this really functional framework.
Yes, of course, of course. My wife and I, we went to Langkawi a couple of years ago, and the first place that we went there was a zoo. It was a really beautiful place in Malaysia, and at the very entrance, when we were getting out of the cab, and at the very entrance, we got the ticket, and we still couldn't see the parrots, but we heard this really, really loud screeching, and we both got scared and sort of held each other's hand. What happened? And then the guide was like, "Ah, nothing happened. It's just parrots. They screech." So the moment I saw, that there is a certified pet bird trainer called Robin with FreshLearn. I was really excited because I had all this nostalgia, and I asked my colleagues if I could interview you. So it's a pleasure and an honor, Robin. Just wanted to ask you if your journey into becoming a certified uh, pet, pet bird trainer, right? How was the journey in terms of the challenges? So, for example, if I could break down that question into a couple of smaller questions, right? Was it difficult? A, and if it was difficult, and you now train people, right? So, if it was difficult for you, or if it was challenging, if you don't want to call it difficult, what tips do you give to people? Like, is there something like you say that this book, if you can really read this book, or something of that sort, or you could spend it some time? I don't know, but is there something that helps you help people understand and sort of avoid that challenge that you have to go through in your learning journey?
The world is growing and shifting and changing every day. And so, me learning about animal behavior and specifically parrots 20 years ago with the university courses and textbooks, yes, those are still there. Yes, those are wonderful resources. We also now have online learning, which is why I'm here with FreshLearn. There's great ways to get some fantastic information on these online courses. And I can recommend books, absolutely. I can recommend other highly certified practitioners. There are a huge set of mentors that I've looked up to my whole life. If you want to Google one, Dr. Susan Friedman is a professor emeritus at Ohio State University. She is a phenomenal behavior person. Her website's behaviorworks.org. I love everything she does, and it comes from a very scientific, ethical background. I think some of the challenges we face as behavior consultants, I've written an exam, I've written multiple different exams with different organizations, I've proven my knowledge, and yet you can just go on YouTube and make a video of how to train your bird without any certification and without any of that background. And it should be okay. I mean, I'm not saying anyone's doing a horrible job, but I'd love it if we could then look to the experts for those bigger problems. I guess I consider myself one of those experts now. So I want people to learn, but I also want people to learn quality things.
Sure.
And it can be hard to find that quality. I think that's the challenge of the internet today is what's good information and what's poor information and trying to find that. So myself as a certified person, I want to put high quality, science-backed, ethical animal training information here in a completely unregulated industry. I use FreshLearn for that. And I also take on students. So if you are really interested in becoming a parrot trainer or then taking the certification exam after that, as Parrot SOS, I take on a limited number of mentees. It is an option on the FreshLearn site, but it is done by invitation. So I do interviews with people before they're fully taken on in that mentee role. I want to make sure that it's a good fit for you. It's a good fit for me. It's a very close relationship. I want to get you all the information I can. That is textbooks, that is online learning, that is video calls, that is all of the high quality resources that I learned growing up, plus more. Where do people start? They start everywhere. I am physically in Canada, and parrots don't live in the wild in Canada. We don't have a native parrot species in Canada. So all the birds we have been imported from somewhere at some time, and I believe the embargo on imports started in the 1980s. So now all of the birds that are in pet stores here are actually captive bred. And that itself creates its own challenge when we're looking at pet animals. They're all captive bred now. But it's not the same as, say, living in South America and having parrots literally in your backyard, or living in Africa and having parrots literally in your backyard. It's a little bit different experience for me than for some of those people. So I have taken trips to these areas. I've had wonderful, wonderful conservation tours to see parrots in the wild. I'd love to do more. I want to learn about their wild cousins, because I don't think the ones that are in captivity now are very far away from their wild cousins. And to me, that's both a challenge and a benefit. I think it's absolutely beautiful that these animals are wild creatures at heart. There's no domestication. They're a few generations from their wild cousins, but they're captive and they can't be released, and they don't know how to be wild, air quotes around wild, because they're wild creatures still. But they live in a house. They live in a house in Canada. Uh, so I want to learn about their wildness, because I want to allow them as much wildness as possible. And sort of like you said, you were visiting a zoo. You were hearing parrots and it was a zoo. I want my house to feel more like a zoo. I want it to have those wild experiences where the bird can be a bird. I'd like to also live there. So there has to be chairs and a sofa and a table. But I want the bird to be a bird first. I'm not looking to have a stuffed animal in a cage. I'm not looking to have a silent creature that is beautiful in the corner. I'm looking for my bird to still be a bird as much as they can and give them an enriched life. That's the balance.
So just to clarify for our audience, our viewers, you are not here as a discipliner of parrots. You are rather here as somebody who helps people understand how to live with their parrots and understand what is wrong and what is right, and what is normal and what is abnormal, right? You're not here with a cane and to sort of try to scare the parrots into shutting up. That's not what you do.
Exactly, yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to do when we can get everybody working together and living together as a family. It works for the birds, it works for the humans, and it should help everybody live a longer life together. One of the things that happens a lot to pet birds is they're difficult to keep for a variety of reasons. They're not easy animals to have in your home. And then they get rehomed, given up to a sanctuary, given up to a humane society, given up to a friend. And now that bird could live many, many years. I'm not sure if your viewers know, but most parrots live a long, long time. Even the small parrots can live 20 years. The bigger parrots can live 50, 60, 80 years.
80 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a big commitment.
I mean, if it was not coming from a certified bird trainer like you, I would not have believed it. I would have said, no, that's not possible.
There is a cockatoo named Cookie, I believe 82 right now. I have personally worked with a 72-year-old parrot, an Amazon parrot named Lope, and has records from that far back. Um, it's, I think, beautiful that these birds live so long, but it is another of the challenges. Your dog living 10, 15 years is, it's so sad when they pass away and nobody loves that. Well, if you never want to deal with that again, get a parrot. They are wonderful companions and they live forever, but it is an addition to their challenge.
Yeah, they outlive you, and that's not something that most people think about when they think about pets, right? I was wondering on this question: have you noticed a difference, or is there a documented difference between the lifespan of parrots in the wild and in the cities?
There's limited research there. The captive animals generally tend to live a bit longer because there is medical care and less disease and no predators, and it's a bit of an easier life in captivity, whether that's in zoo or in pet homes. I think our challenge is we are not the jungle, and whether that is diet or whether that is exercise, like flying, they could fly 10, 20, 100 kilometers in a jungle in a day. And my house is not that big. So I can't get that type of exercise. Is that necessary for them? How much research can we do in the lifespan of a bird that is wild? We track them with a ring on their leg. They put a metal band around their ankle. But then we would have to have started that 80 years ago to know if they're 80 years old today. And so some of this involves a bit of guesswork. We do think they live longer in captivity slightly, but they are a long-lived animal in the wild that is documented. We just don't have exact numbers.
Yes, of course.
There are also a lot of different species of parrot. There's one species of dog, a bunch of different breeds, but dogs are dogs, cats are cats. Parrots have 350 species.
Wow. And I'm guessing that most people who adopt parrots are not even aware of that when they are at least in the initial stage of adoption, unless they come across somebody like you. I'm guessing
I'm
they
here
are.
to help.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm here to give that information. Something that I do on FreshLearn actually is I have a free course, $0, that is called Do Your Research. Because all of this information should be something that someone has before they bring a bird home. I want to give that freely to everyone. If you are thinking of a bird or if you just brought a bird into your life, take the course, get the information on what do they need to be happy in a home? How do you feed them? What sort of exercise can you get them if they're in your house and not a jungle? How do you give them the best life that we can with enrichment and with positive reinforcement training, which is another thing I do? How do we do that for people when they get a bird and they don't even know the history of the bird? That's why I did the free course. I want everybody to get high quality certified information to set them up from the beginning right.
And what challenge do you face, Robin, when you are like when you have one-on-one sessions or when you actually talk to people who take your course or are interested in taking your course? What are the common kind of questions and challenges that you face, and how do you sort of solve them? How do you work? I'm sure by now you have a template and you can already see the questions coming, right? Even before they ask you. And so, what are those kind of questions and doubts and problems that people who have parrots, and how do you sort of help them?
Great question. There are some common questions, some common concerns that people have. For example, that screaming one that we talked about right at the beginning, where the bird doesn't want to be alone and the human leaves the room and there's a calling, loud vocalization. So some of these sort of standard, air quotes around standard, very common questions I have actually made into full courses on FreshLearn. So there's one on biting, there's one on screaming, there's one on my bird won't go in the cage, my bird won't play with toys, how do I feed them foods, they won't eat them. I have a trick training one. We have recall, which means come back to me, come to me. Each of those is now a standalone course, and you can take just that information online whenever you want, 24/7 through FreshLearn. I love that because it answers those questions that are really, really common. A lot of people have that screaming problem. A lot of people say, hey, whenever I leave the room, my bird is loud. How do I stop that? And that's why I made those courses. When I do the one-on-one coaching, individual calls with just one person and their family and their bird, I am giving really specific advice because your family and your life and your animals are unique and it's yours. And so you can take the screaming course and get the ideas, but you might not still quite fit. It's still not quite because your life is so unique. I do the one-on-one call to figure out exactly what you need for your situation. I do that same thing at the beginning where these are not problems, but it's a misfitting of their life and your life and the communication. So we find the function. That's what I do is behavior analysis. I do an analysis of what's going on. And I say, it really sounds like that bird does that whenever you leave the room. And then you come back in to say, hey, could you be quiet? And the bird goes, oh, there you are. Nice to see you. Let's work on that in a way that doesn't involve a loud and horrible noise. So the bird can say, hey, are you coming back? Are you just going to the bathroom or are you gone forever? And then that person and that bird can live their life with their solution, whatever works for them. That's why I love one-on-one calls. I can make it really, really tailored to that individual. So I like having the range of answers where they can take the course on screaming. If that's all you need, perfect. I'm glad you have that information. And if you need more, we do also have this coaching where I can get the specifics for you. It's not always easy. It's not, if it was easy, everyone would just be perfect, right? Sometimes we need that coaching to get through these hard points. It's hard. If you've heard birds scream, oh, your ears. Oh, it's not fun. No, no, it hurts.
It also sounds like they are themselves in danger. So probably there's a question of empathy also, right? People who hear it, even if it's neighbors or somebody else, they might just think that the bird is in danger, right? Which is not the case. Same thing. I have a cat, and sometimes he just screams as if somebody's torturing him. But he just wants to go out or to play. Um, but yeah, we're also looking for somebody like you who could actually help us with how to have this little tiger inside of our four closed walls, a little apartment.
There are other species behavior consultants. So the certificate behind me is through the IAABC. That's the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants. It's a lot of letters. It means the place where you take the exam for the animal people. They have dog exams, cat exams, parrot exams, equine exams, and shelter animals. So that's dogs, cats, and others. You can go to iaabc.org and they have a button to find someone near you, and you can click dog, cat, parrot, equine shelter. You can find someone almost any country around the world. It's a great organization. That's where one of my certificates is from. If you ever need to, go check out IABC. They'll have a cat person for you.
I'll do that right after this call, actually. But I'm guessing that people who help people with dogs are the highest in number. Where do you see yourself? Are you among the rarest of animal trainers, or are you somewhere in the middle?
I think
And I'm also curious about how you see that changing. Is it changing even?
yeah. There's plenty of dog trainers around. I am also certified in dog, so I have multiple certifications. I have a whole wall of certificates. I love that, and I love being able to say that I'm still learning and I'm still going to courses and I'm still taking education. Um, the dog trainers definitely are the most in number. I'd say that worldwide, but I'd also say that we can still use more. We're not running out of dogs to train,
Yeah.
and it's not a big competition with only one person being dog trainer and everybody else has to go home. So, yes, let's have lots of good dog trainers with certifications and qualifications. Yes. Cat trainers, there's the next number down. I would say maybe cat trainers or equine, horse, donkey, equid. Um, there's still plenty of those in the world. I think parrot is one of the more rare for companion species, specially certified because there's two organizations that do certifications for parrots specifically, and that's it. So I have both of them, but I would love to see more. I think that I'm not the rarest because there are zoo people, and those people can train very rare animals, but zoo people aren't the same because those animals live in the zoo, not in someone's living room.
Right, right.
And I'm on that line where I need to know all of the information. I need to know how to use positive reinforcement and do ethical training just like I would be in a zoo, but it's a living room with a sofa and a family and and we still have to deal with cages. Our birds aren't usually lucky enough to have a large aviary. Some are, but we're still working with really small accommodations for our birds. It's a lot. There's a lot to it. I do behavior, I do setups, I do a lot of care around making sure that bird can be a bird.
Sounds to me like you have to have one foot in zoo training and one foot in something that would be like dog training, right? Because this is for people and that is for the really wild animals, and you have to have a kind of a good understanding, a deep understanding of both of those worlds to be a parrot
Yeah,
trainer.
I really do
Yeah.
believe that. And then all of the textbook science and the ethics too. Just because you can change a behavior, does that mean you should? What's the best way to change a behavior? If the behavior is working for that animal, are you allowed to change it? How do we know that what we're doing is in the best interest of everybody? Thankfully, there's science, and there are plenty of researchers in animal behavior and human behavior who have been doing textbooks for 50 years. Thankfully, I can use their research. They're much smarter than me. They can do that research, and then I can take it and go, oh, these studies say this is ethical, this is less ethical. We're not going to do that one. We're going to go this way. That's my job. And when I work with someone or when I make a course, it's my job to make sure that I'm giving not just the best information, but the most ethical, most up to date, air quotes, best information to you guys.
It's very subjective. Yeah, of course, I can understand. One of the first things that I learned when I was studying psychology was that it's there are these sort of because it's so subjective, right? That's what reminded me of my first textbook that I read in psychology. I think that the first chapter was on OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and the authors, the psychologists, were arguing that everybody has OCD, right? And that it's normal to check your lock on the door up to 3 times a day, but not 20 times a
I
day.
think that is just right. I have several diagnosed psychiatric conditions. I do, and I have diagnoses that I am proud to have. But when we're looking at something like commonly anxiety, it's common to have anxiety before a job interview. It's common to have anxiety meeting a new person. It is not okay to have anxiety to the point where you cannot function.
Yes, true.
There's a line there, somewhere in there, and that's where we go to the professionals and ask, is this normal, anxious, or is this the disordered anxiety? And that's where the psychiatrists, psychologists, and the whole sociology subsection are really trying to shift away from the disorder label to the function. label, because even someone with an anxiety, air quotes, disorder is using it functionally just from a trauma lens. And it's a big, big shift in the industry. That's why I said I got textbooks of a whole bunch of doctors who are studying this every day. My goal is to take it, synthesize it, and come out with stuff that is not super textbook, translated into regular language. I'm looking at function. I'm looking at, does this serve the animal? Of course it does. He wouldn't be spending the calories if it wasn't an action that was useful to him in some way. So how do I help both? It's really fascinating. We do take some things from behavior analysis, just a couple of things that are useful in looking at behavior and outcome. I use a lot of the functional analysis documents to help with analyzing what the function is of this particular behavior. And there can be multiple options, there can be multiple inputs. It is complex. There are multiple different ways of looking at it depending on who you studied. Fascinating to me, boring to my bird people. They just want to know how to stop the bird from being so loud.
Exactly, that's what I was.
This is my job, translating it to say, you know what, he just doesn't know if you're going to die in the bathroom. He wants to know that you're going to come back. We can work on it so it doesn't start in the first place, but we can also create a nicer call. What would you prefer he said? Hey, hey, where are you going? I'm all alone. Hey, where are you going? I'm all alone. It's not the one I want. So maybe he could have a nicer whistle. Many birds whistle, and we can whistle
Yeah.
back and forth. I'm not dead yet. Okay, good. I'm still going to the bathroom. Okay, good. And give them that calm and sense of peace that they're looking for. That's the reason for the calling. That's the function that I'm talking about. So I'm not a cat trainer, but if we take that function thing, if your cat is calling for play, hey, play with me, hey, play with me, hey, 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 play with me, what other way could he ask for play that would be something you respond to and give him play, but maybe a little nicer to listen to or a nicer way to ask? And I will let the cat behavior people take it from there because I'm sure there's more layers to it. But just taking that piece out of function, I wonder what he's saying, air quotes around saying. I wonder if there's a better way we could get him what he needs with a nicer way of saying it. That's what I do every day. I love helping these birds live in homes because it's great for the family, it's great for the bird, and it usually means they live a happier life. They don't end up getting rehomed. They don't end up in rescue as often. They don't end up with these huge, huge behavior problems in rescues. I work with rescues as well, and some of those birds have some behavior problems. Those are the ones that have been locked in basements or ignored or have other trauma, and we need to help those birds overcome that, find them a new home. I'd rather start at the beginning. Rather than wait for it to get to a rescue and wait for it to get bad, I still work with those birds, but how can I help at the beginning? How can I help right at the start? You've never had a bird in your life? Great, here's the starter kit. Please start on the right foot. Oh, you have a little screaming. Great, let me help now before it turns into a huge problem. I want to have that opportunity, so I use FreshLearn because I can get it out to many people. I can choose paid courses or free courses. I can still do one-on-one consultations with people, really get them that advice. And I have a membership now. So once a month, actually twice a month now, we have people come and it's a community. We get coaching in a group. So instead of one-on-one consultation, it's almost like a group consultation for people who are living with their bird. They maybe have a question. They maybe just have something come up that they just have 10 minutes. They just want to quickly ask. This is the membership. And we see people in the membership who have some big problems that they're working through and they get that support every month. Good job, you're still going. Good job, you're working it. And then we have other people who have been there for years and just really enjoy helping the newer members. Like, it's possible. Look, see me, I've been here 2 years. It's possible. And I like having that supportive space for everybody. And FreshLearn does all of that for me. It was really the platform that answered all of those questions for me. I looked at a whole bunch of different ones, and I actually did try a different one. Just didn't have all the things that I want. This is what I wanted. This is everything that I need. This has all of the features. I can help as many people as I can. And I just really, I feel strongly in getting that information out to people.
I do see that you really feel strongly about this, Robin. And I also see this trend validate or you may disagree with me, but I see this trend that people are now taking up what they're really passionate about and trying to sort of make that their full time work, right? And part of that is this creation journey where they become creators. They sort of go online and they work with whether they are on FreshLearn or any other platform, it doesn't matter. But they're trying to basically do this full time, right? And it's not about the money. I don't think that there's a lot of money in here. I'm guessing that it is not. But you are among these people who just want to make this thing that you're really passionate about your whole life, right? You don't want to do this typical 9 to 5 job and then do this thing that you're passionate about only on the weekends or when you have a little bit of time. I'm sure this is challenging, Robin. Could you please talk to us about, if it's not too personal, could you talk to us about the challenges of being a full-time pet bird trainer, something that's so rare that it's easy to imagine that it's also as rare as it is, it must be difficult.
It's definitely difficult. I know a lot of people struggle, not just content creation, but animal trainers anywhere. Put those two together, and yeah, it's a challenging field. We are passionate. I love what I do. I love my people. And me, like many other trainers, started off with a full-time job and this, doing two things. My full-time job for years was not in animal training at all. And I have done animal training, I'm going to say air quotes, on the side. Like it's been a passion, it's been a thing that I've done. I've got all these, courses and education, and this is what I do on my vacation from my real job is do animal training courses. So in 2021, I took the leap and 100% didn't quit my regular job and did this full time. I love training, and it is the balance of the passion. If I could afford to be a millionaire and give everything for free, I would. I need to have a little bit to pay for
Yeah,
my food and my
that's
bird's food. And that's the hardest part with passion is balancing that. I give away as much as I possibly can. I try to keep my prices fair. There's lots of free stuff. There's some lower price stuff. I try to be conscious of that. In the last 5 years or so, it's been challenging, but online has been a really big opportunity. I can reach people almost anywhere in the world being online. And this type of video call actually works better for helping people coaching that one-on-one consultation because when I am in the room with them and their bird, if I go to their home, it changes the dynamic. Everybody gets weird. The bird is quiet, sitting in the corner, doing nothing, shy, whatever label you want to put on. There's a shift. But when I'm on the laptop or I'm on the cell phone, a little picture in the corner, it's much easier to work with the humans. It's much easier to work with the birds, see the behaviors that are happening. And I can coach through the phone, move left, move right, give treat, back away. And we can get really wonderful behavior change over video. So this push has been great getting online. I know some people do still want in-home visits. I do not offer in-home at all anymore. I just do these video consults, video courses. And once a year, twice a year, I do a big full day seminar. People will fly me to their city and I'll do a big seminar day. But that's the only live I do nowadays. So online's where it's at.
I think you're right on the edge. That's what I wish for you of becoming quite a celebrity. I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years I can't get your appointment to talk to you. Right?
I love being here. FreshLearn's been part of that journey. I know I talk about it a lot. I swear I'm not paid. I just use it for a lot of things in my businesses online. I have my website and I have the, I think there's 21 courses, 21 bird behavior specific courses for people now. I want to tell the world, let's get people this help because birds are not easy. They are jungle animals. They're loud. They're very messy. They're very specific. They're not even a mammal.
Yeah, yeah,
At least your cat is a mammal.
yeah, of course.
Their diet is different. Their body is different. The way that they interact with the world is a bird thing. I want to get them that information, and I want people to know that it's coming from a qualified, ethical, science-based resource, and not just um, what your friend Mary down the street used to do.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, could be good. I hope it's good. Yes. I want to get people as much help as I can. So, yeah, I was so happy to be able to do this full time, and I'm really glad I took the leap. But oh boy, is it scary? Oh, yeah, it is very scary to take that on 100%. I think any content creator, it's a scary leap to hold on to.
This would be a good time to ask you for advice for such content creators who are looking to go full time and take that leap, the very scary leap.
Oh, my advice for any content creator is to hold that passion that you have, that flame, that burns, that says, this is what I need to do. You've been listening to me. You hear the passion in my voice. I feel so strongly about my birds. I love them so, so, so much. To me, I would give the world to make their world better. That passion. You can hear in my voice, that's what I put in my courses. That's what I put on my YouTube. That's what I put on my Instagram. And there's a lot of self-doubt. Am I good enough? Do I have enough new information? There's other people who are on social media. Why would my voice add anything? And I think that I go back to there's lots of dogs in the world to train. We aren't running out. There's lots and lots of birds in the world that could use my help. We're not running out of birds to help. So take your passion and do it because it's worth it on that alone to get that voice out and to get that thing that you want to make, go make it. And try really hard to make it for you and make it for your passion and not make it for anyone else and not make it for the dollars. You're doing it because it's the passion and the flame. The tricky part is not caring. The tricky part is saying, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for birds, and I'm doing it because it needs doing, and not because it'll get the most views on Instagram, because that's not what drives me. That's not my goal. That's not my passion. And that will drive me into depression because I'm not not into the Instagram views. I don't have a million followers. But what I do is important. So just go do it. The money follows. When people are passionate, the money follows. There's no way it can't.
Of course, of course. Yeah, there's all this, of course, different ways of thinking about it, but I think that everybody who deserves something eventually gets it. So if you deserve to be a full time creator, what you have to do is try. And it may take time, but you'll get it if you deserve it. So, working on the deserving part of it is more important than anything else, any tricks and any tactics. But I'm serious, I'm genuinely curious to understand how people really find you, Robin, and also how you would like them to find you.
I am online. So I am in all the major places online. I am parrotsos.com, also Parrot SOS on YouTube, also Parrot SOS on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn and all of the socials. I have Parrot SOS on as many places as I can with as much content as I can. I am not an everyday poster. That's who I am, and that is okay for my business. I would love to share as many bird things as I possibly can. I want people to find me when they're having a bird problem. So, if they type into Google What do I do about a bird screaming? I would love for that to come up. I'm working on that SEO. But even things like people are starting to Google bird trainers. I'm so excited because it's not just dog trainer anymore. There are bird trainers. And I really hope that some of our certified people come up in that list and say, hey, here's a certified bird trainer. Did you know that's a thing? There's a community out there of really wonderful bird people as well. And we share almost like word of mouth now through all of our friends. I have some bird influencers in my life who are bird accounts on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and we try and promote each other. And I love this community because we do support each other. See what I mean? Just find your passion and go into it. It will be there.
I was going to ask you if you have any help, but I think you answered that question already. But like, do you see?
I have four. So I have four parrots right now. Two are African gray parrots and two are cockatiels. And one of those cockatiels is my very first bird. He is 25 years old and I've had him every day of his life.
Well, so he was just born when you got him.
Yep, 25 years ago. And he's older now, so cockatiels live between 20 and 30 years. He's 25. He has some arthritis. He's acting older. I really hope he lives to 30, but he's an old man now. Um,
He's a senior citizen. Yeah.
the African greys are supposed to live a little bit longer, 50 years. And so my guys are 28 and 6 years old, my two. Um, they are not a pair, I just have two. So yeah, I have four parrots and I share my life with them and I work at home. And I have Zoom calls every day, let me tell you, about how I keep my birds occupied and not calling and calling and calling while I'm on these Zooms. I have the same things as all of the people I'm speaking to. I'm dealing with how do I cook dinner when I have a bird who won't stay on his tree? How do I make sure that anyone who comes to my home, any stranger, it's not an alarm thing, nobody's getting bitten, everyone has a great time, the birds are safe, the people are safe. I live in what I'm coaching other people as well, and I really think that's important.
Skin in the game, of course, that's very important. And does that like, do you see where do you see this journey going? Right, I'm really happy, and I'm also I don't know if I should say use that word, but I'm proud, right, that you've reached this stage. What I'm thinking is what I'm like, curious about is if you see a book coming or you see something that is sort of okay, this is something that I haven't done and I should do or I would like to do in the future. Is there something like that or is it not?
I have lots of goals. I have lots of things that I really want to do. I would love to do more on the YouTube channel. I think that is a great way of getting the free information to people and then linking to certified advice, I think is really important. I would love to do a book one day. I want to focus on those beginning relationships because I see that as the point of being able to help people the most. You're just learning with your bird. Let's give you the best information. You're just starting out. Instead of waiting until the problem is happening and trying to fix the problem, let's get you set up for success from the very beginning and build those foundations. Have a strong foundation, have a strong house.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So that's where my, I think, book idea will go at some point. I'm not writing a book yet. Maybe I should.
Yes, and maybe we could help you, with outlines or something like, an AI could help you, give you ideas for chapters and what the chapter should have. I'm just thinking out loud because I mean I'm a writer myself, so I keep thinking about how much AI can help writers, and at the same time, where do you draw that line and say, okay, this part I'm not going to let AI do for me. This is something that only I should be writing and this bit outline or some other parts of it, ideation maybe, can be done by AI. Because after all, AI is also learning from people like us, right? If I ask AI what would be a good idea to write, because you already have a blog, so I'm thinking if you write a book, it's probably going to learn from blogs like yours, right? If I ask ChatGPT how do I get started writing a book on training parrots? He's probably going to go to Robin's website and read her blog and then tell me what would be a good idea or what would be a good starting place. So it would be lovely to read a book from you on training or on living in harmony with your parents is how you.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love having that. And I do use some AI, but I use it the other way around. I ask AI, what do people commonly ask for? What are the problems people are finding? What do you hear people type into the Google chat to say, help me with my bird is doing this, oh my goodness. What do they say? Tell me, and then I can address those answers with my history and training and knowledge and all the rest of that. But what problems are people having? Where can I be useful? I think that that's my use of AI. It really helps me narrow down what I'm going to blog about next.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a book. I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. I would love to read because I don't know if you can see behind me. I have a lot of books. I have about 200 books at home. I've given away more than 500. I read a lot and I like to read everything. So if you write a book, I think you could just count me in. I'm going to buy the copy right away.
Thank you.
Which brings me to the question of misinformation, right? Because we've talked about certification part of it. You're certified.
Mhm.
Why are you certified? And if you're a certified trainer, and I'm here going on YouTube or Instagram and looking at somebody who is not certified, right? But they're talking about their advice on how to be with your parents. Do you see an issue there? Do you see misinformation?
I definitely see misinformation or misapplied information all the time, everywhere. Um, I love educating. So I see it as an opportunity to expand. Yes, and more. Instead of that screaming noise that your bird is doing, just ignore it. Just don't listen to it. It'll stop eventually. I say, okay. And what would you prefer him to say to get your attention? Because just ignoring it is the bad advice. Just ignoring it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't help the animal, it doesn't tell them what to do, it doesn't fill their need, it doesn't address their communication. The function of screaming is still there. So I try to go, yes, and how would you prefer him to say that? How can we fill the function? How can we make it work for everybody instead of banging heads together? So misinformation to me is usually more of a half, almost close, keep going. There's truly not very much bad advice. there's some there's some myths that happen that have been around forever. One that is really, really common is a myth, is the myth of dominance, where your animal is alpha over you, your animal is trying to dominate you, is actually a myth. That's one of the biggest ones I see. And whether that is dog training or cat training or bird training, there is no dominance in those species. So, what are we talking about then? Because the behavior you're seeing is what? The cat biting you, the bird biting you, the dog barking. You're seeing a behavior, but it's not because they want to be alpha. It's because of, yes, and what's the function for the animal? What do they need? What are they communicating? What's going on here? Because if we can't give it that explanatory fiction, it's not dominance. So what is it? Let's get curious together. Um, the phenomenon of everybody being an animal trainer on YouTube is one hand really cool because now people are getting interested in living with their animals and doing some training. I would love for more YouTube people to certify to make sure that we're all talking the same language and comparing apples to apples. I would love to see some more explanation of the science behind the things, and that's what I want to do on my YouTube channel. I'll look for that soon. Of it's not just screaming, no screaming. There's work in the middle. I want to explain that work a little bit, just enough so that it makes sense and we're doing it in a very open way. Screaming, some work, No more screaming. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that. Me, it's very interesting, and it's, I think, good for the people to learn just in general. Now we can have a big conversation. Awesome. So now everyone you see on YouTube, you're going to be going, huh, is that the answer? I wonder if that meets that animal's function or not. I wonder if that outcome is the same. You're going to have those questions. Love it. Juicy. Opportunities.
Of course, yes, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to fix the approach and not the problem alone, right? Because there is two ways of going about anything. One is you have a problem, you're trying to find a solution for it. Problem, solution, it goes on like that. Or you try to fix the approach itself so that when another problem arises, then you have a better approach, right? And so with one change in approach, you could solve a lot of different problems. I think that's what you're
Yeah.
trying to do and doing successfully
Yes.
too.
Yeah. Get a good
So
foundation,
congratulations.
get a good house. Yes.
Yes, of course, of course. You have already quite a few success stories that you shared in bits and pieces on your website. Would you like to talk out to us about something that stood out, some stories from people you have helped? Anything that's interesting or sort of something that has stayed with you, something that you cherish.
I have some wonderful clients right now. They're part of our membership right now. They've been with us for a couple of years, and they had a pet parrot, a Quaker parrot, fly into their backyard and land mysteriously one afternoon. And they brought him in the house. They recognized it was not from there. They brought him inside and kept him safe, and they looked for his owners, and nobody was found. They looked for months, so they decided, okay, well, he lives here now. We'll get him a big cage. They'd never had a bird in their life. No idea. No, didn't want a bird. They just had one happen. And they have done the best work with this bird. They've given this bird a beautiful life. Okay, so the bird's name is Kevin. When Kevin came into their life, Kevin had a whole life before he got there that we know nothing about. We don't know where he came from or what happened to him. But when he is in this home, he did not want humans to touch him. He didn't want those hands to be in his cage. He didn't want any of that. And we worked slowly, allowed him to have space with his fear, gave him time, worked through with positive reinforcement, getting him to come forward on his own, getting him to take food from them when he was ready. And now he not only comes forward in the cage, he plays with them. He comes out of the cage. He interacts with them. He plays with toys with them. And he gets loud if they don't play with him now. He loves it. You hold one side of the toy, he holds the other toy, you wrestle together. He loves it. Kevin is part of the family. And I love these people because they really came from zero. They didn't even know they were getting a bird and what happened. And they have done so well helping Kevin get over whatever it was he needed to get over, giving him space and time and having that really positive relationship, build that foundation, right? And now they're seeing the growth of Kevin's just got his huge personality and he whistles and he beeps and he's starting to learn words and he's friendly and plays games and tugs on toys and he's just such a character now that I love what they've done with him. I really, really love what they've done with him and they've let him thrive. He's a bird. He's doing bird things and he is a happy guy. And he happens to live in their home and they're happy with him too. I just love that story. I love Kevin. I think Kevin chose his new family well, however he chose it. Yeah, Kevin's great. I'm excited to keep following Kevin's story.
That's a really beautiful story. What are the names of your parrots?
My 4 parrots, so the oldest one, the one I mentioned before, the 25-year-old cockatiel, his name is Monster. He has a brother named Skeeter, and then my 2 African greys are Quentin and Marengo.
Oh, really? Those are very interesting names.
They're all interesting names. I'm the only one I did was Monster. Monster was me, but that was many years ago. I was a teenager. He's not a monster. He is the sweetest bird.
Yes, of course, of course. So the other three, they were named by other people who already had them as pets.
Yeah, they were named by the previous owners. A lot of birds go through more than one home. And so Skeeter came to me 5 or 6 years ago. He was named Skeeter because he was making little hissing noises that sounded like a mosquito. Quentin came to me 20 years ago when he was 6. He's 28 now. Goodness, don't make me do math. He came with the name Quentin. Both Quentin and Marengo are African gray parrots who are some of the smarter species. They both know their own name and say their own name. And so when they come to a new home, both of them came from other homes to me. I adopted them. They already knew their name. And so even if I wanted to call them something else, they have their name. They say their name. They understand their name. That's their name. And so that Quentin came with Quentin. I have no idea why. And Marengo came with Marengo. And that is actually a shade of gray.
That is very,
Is the word Marengo if you Google it.
that's very, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
There's so many birds that are rehomed, go to rescue and find a new family. There's so many birds. So many, so many, so many. If you are out there listening, there is a parrot rescue near you. I don't even know where you are listening from, but there is one near you. Look for parrot rescue. Maybe not 20 minutes near you, but near you. I'm in Canada and we have parrot rescues, okay? Like there's so many birds that need this help because they've been in a home, it didn't work for any reason. Maybe they didn't get the behavior help that they needed. Maybe the bird is screaming and biting and being, maladaptive. We're going to use that with air quotes again. Didn't fit. They didn't know about me. They didn't know who to help. And so they, I wouldn't keep that either. I think that's fair to put the bird in a different home where it gets different care. Fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then we put them in a new home and help them be their best bird self, which is why I wanted to do Parrot SOS from the other side. Can I get these people from the beginning before it goes screaming and biting and horrible and rehome?
yeah.
Better
Yes.
for everyone. Better for the bird, for sure.
Yes. And also for the rescue centers, because it doesn't help anybody if the rescue centers are, flooded kind of with these animals, and then they don't have any other option but to sort of give them up to some other rescue shelters or sanctuaries, or worst case scenario, put them down. You hear all these stories that are really sad and are shared on social media these days. Definitely feel terrible for the animals, but also, sort of on the other hand, I also feel good that at least people are sharing the stories. And when you look at the comments, most are positive. Most 99% of the comments are like people are really feeling bad for these animals and are asking how they can help and are really wishing them well, right? So probably the future is better than the past. At least that's how I would like to think about it. And yeah, you are there among the people who are trying to make the future better than the past, for parrots here in this case. But let's just say animals in general.
Animals in general, yeah.
Any advice that you have for other animal trainers, Robin? People who are training, anybody, whether they are dog trainers or cat or anybody, and they are in the beginning stage of their journey. They don't have 20 years of experience like you do, right? They're just starting out, right? So what would you like to share with them? Any good word of advice?
It is a big journey. It's definitely a passionate journey. Find yourself a good mentor, find yourself a good certification, and work towards it depending on what you want to be doing for sure. Um, if you are just starting out, anyone listening, any species, dog, cat, parrot, person, you want to know more about animal training, animal behavior, some of the science, the book you need is called Don't Shoot the Dog. It's not about dog training. It's about behavior. And if you read the book Don't Shoot the Dog and your passion ignites, you're an animal trainer, let's go, let's talk, keep going, yes. But I still like the book Don't Shoot the Dog for regular keepers, regular humans, regular homes. it's an interesting look, a little bit nerdy look into how does behavior change? How does
Correct.
your behavior change? How do things work? When I go up to a machine that dispenses candy bars and I push the button and I get a candy bar out, that's what I'm expecting. And if I go up and I push the button and I don't get a candy bar,
Correct.
I get angry and I punch the machine. And these are behaviors. What's going on? What's happening there? What's the function? What's the outcome? This is the same thing. It's all in the book. I think it's fascinating. If you're a behavior nerd, you'll think it's fascinating. I think everybody who is considering being an animal trainer should read Don't Shoot the Dog. It's by Karen Pryor. There are a couple different editions out. You can find it on Kindle, online. There are hardcover books. Love Don't Shoot the Dog. Start there. Other than that, keep going. Find your goal, find your certification, work towards it, and find a good mentee. I wanted to mention something else that you can either leave at the end of this interview or cut into the middle. Not every person who calls has a crisis with their animal. Not every person who is looking for courses is at their wit's end and needs it fixed or the bird gone. Most people, 90% of people, are really good just struggling in one small area. They're really wonderful bird people. They love their bird. They do everything right. Why is he still screaming? I just need help with that. And so I'm not trying to paint every situation as horrible and needs to go to rescue. No, most of the people I talk to are really conscientious, really caring, really awesome people, and they love their bird, and they feel almost guilty saying, I have to call a trainer in for help. Not guilty, not at all. It's wonderful to ask for help. One little tweak from me, a professional, and you're going to be golden. I love helping like that. When there are people who are already good people and they just need a little bit more, that is perfect to me. I love talking to those clients.
Of course, of course, of course. Because you could see yourself 20 years ago in them, right? And
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Any other courses, anything else that's coming up, Robin, in your, in Parrot SOS that you would like people to check out or wait for?
Yes, there are a couple of things that are happening in future. I have a YouTube coming up. I am partnering with the government of Singapore to provide an avian behavior basics hour of learning. So that's going to be coming up in September. Um, the Singaporean government is really involved with elevating animal behavior. And so they have a whole bunch of different behavior experts on their channel. And I'm going to be helping with the avian behavior seminar. So that's one to look for. I'm also going to be on another podcast called Behavior Buzz with 6 Z's, Z's if you're in the United States. Behavior Buzz is with the two Amy's, Dr. Amy and Dr. Amy, and they talk to different behavior professionals. So I am called in to talk about bird behavior. That's also coming up in the fall. And then over the winter time, so we're planning for November, December, January, we are going to be having a foundations course. So this is going to be 4 classes in a row, live on Zoom with me and your bird. There's going to be homework each week, and that will be a paid 4-week course over the winter time when in Canada we're all inside playing with our birds. So it's going to be fantastic. We're going to be calling it the Foundation Level Up. And you can level up your relationship with your bird, whether those are skills, whether that is communication, whether that is just building that really strong foundation from scratch. We're going to have a great time with the Level Up course.
Sounds exciting. I'm sure you're excited too. Yeah, you look excited.
I love this work. I love birds and I love helping people.
Yes, I think that you love birds and helping people quite equally, is what I can see.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it comes across.
It does, it does, it does. Yes. Yeah. I really enjoyed talking to you, Robin. I hope that it was easy to talk to as well. Um,
This has been wonderful. Thank you. I really enjoyed talking about bird stuff. And I am happy to have emails from anyone. Go to parrotsos.com. The email button's right there. And if people have questions, I'm happy to answer them, and then I can direct them to their best resource.
Of course, of course.